A very good morning, students. As we have already talked about retailing in the previous classes, today we'll be talking about the design of a store. So, this is actually talking about store design. So, I think everybody knows actually what is a store design. So, when the retail space is designed and it is constructed through combining different areas of expertise of a retail organization, it is called as retail store design. It involves designing the store in such a way to maximize the store space utilization and improve the sales. Store design is creating a unique look and feel of the store. Both interior and exteriors of the store are covered under store design. The three elements of a good store design are layout, science and graphics, and feature areas and display to capture the attention. Actually, what is the layout? It is the design of the floor space of the store and the arrangement of the products in the shelves and aisles and display stands constitute the layout of the store. Science and graphic, yeah, when a retail store actually uses various types of different types of science and graphics, it actually attracts the attention of the customers over there so that it helps the customers to navigate the aisles to find the places where the customer wishes to go from where it wishes to purchase the products. And then the feature area and display to capture the attention to get the customer's attention items will be placed at entrances, freestanding displays, and sometimes even an entire aisle of promotional items are there. Then, what are the objectives of a good store design? The first one is to be consistent with image and strategy. It is necessary for the good store design to be consistent with the store image and retail strategy. It is necessary for retail managers to first understand the needs and wants of the target customers. For example, warehouse clubs normally have high ceilings and concrete floor design instead of tiles, so that gives an impression of low cost. Second objective, positively influence the consumer. This is done through the way the facilities are arranged in the store and space is allocated to different segments. The retailer's brand image needs to be in sync. For example, a grocery store which looks like an apparel store or a painting gallery that looks like an automobile outlet can create major dissonance in the minds of the consumers. Third one, to consider cost versus value. Here the cost denotes the expense due to each store design element and value represents the expected amount of sales and profits. For example, the best location in the retail outlet are typically reserved for the most profitable category of products as they are more worthy. To maintain flexibility, it should be flexible enough to support any change in nature of merchandise because as the merchandise changes, it automatically changes the image of the retail store. Then, if we talk about the store design, it consists of exteriors, then it consists of the front of a store. So, this includes the front signage, the banners, the display windows, the entrance, the outer infrastructure, the appearance, etc. This collectively determine the attractiveness of the store in the eyes of the passing by customers. The elements of store exteriors are facade, then you have the marquee, then the entrance of the store, the display at the window, the various types of doors, the walkways, the colors, and the materials. If we talk about the store exteriors, that is the frontage of the store, it has facade. It is actually facade is a French word which means frontage or face. So facade is the front of the retail store building. The overall outlook and attractiveness of the retail building is based on the representation of the front. Marquee identification marks are symbol used to represent the retail store to the general public. Walkways are the customers who mostly many customers actually do not prefer narrow walkways. So during store construction, the walk in such a way that the customers feel comfortable when they're walking through the walkways. Then the entrance of the store. The customers actually will not want to enter stores with a very poor entrance. Front parallel to the walkway or footpath is called a straight front. When there is slight angle from the traffic, it is called angle front. When more than one entrance are used, it is called arcade front. Window display when the popular products available when the store are arranged in a creative way and are displayed at the front of the retail store. It is called window display. For example, Titan Watches instructs its dealers to install large display areas so that it can attract the customers through with the help of visual merchandising and finally it will help the customers to make a purchase. Now I talk about the various types of fronts a retail store can use. The first one is arcade front. Arcade front are actually are usually spacious. They allow the window merchandise closely. They seem to be more relaxing to the shopper and often take on highly surrealistic shapes with concave or decorated panes of glass and beautifully decorated windows. If you talk about the straight front, you can see that it mostly looks like the arcade front only, but the glass panes have been arranged in a different manner. So this type of straight front is in this type you have the front parallels the sidewalk with its monotony is broken only by the entrance. The entrance may be recessed into the main floor area, but all the lines are identical. So you can see that. Can be symmetrical. You can see that I have the angled front, much like the straight front. In this, it follows a true line and the monotony is relieved by angles away from the sidewalk. The design of the doors and the windows can be symmetrical or it can be asymmetrical. These have deep lobbies to allow the traffic to slow down without pushing each other. So in this diagram, you can see the difference between a straight front and an arcade front because they look similar, but a slight designing change in designing is done so that it allows more customers, it can allow more space. Then you have awnings also. So what is an awning? It is actually, you can see in the diagram that the green overhanging. So that is known as the awning. So awning is also called an overhanging. It is the additional covering on the outer wall of a building. It is used extensively by restaurants to cover exterior reception or dining centers. Then what is the type of door the retailers are using? The retailers can use many types of doors. They can use regular doors, they can use revolving doors, they can use automatic doors, sensor-based doors are now in fashion nowadays. Then we have to think about the colors and the materials. The fixture strategy it displays are if the displays are flexible, freestanding and modular units used to present merchandise, then fixtures refer to the more permanent units in the store. The wall-mounted shelving units, the support columns and bench seating are examples of fixtures. So the purpose of fixture is to coordinate your store layout and influence the customer flow and interaction. In other words, they're designed to impact the customer flow and bring attention to merchandise in a consistent, familiar environment. Then you talk about the elements of store interiors. The first one is envelope. The inner structure of the store is the envelope, which can be partially determined by the exterior construction and offers an environment for shopping. An integral element of store envelope is floor and ceiling. They help in delivering the store's image to the store. Then you have store layout. It is the way in which the store's interiors are defined. The movement inside should be easy and comfortable. The signage, the graphics, and which comprise of visual signals, the guide and direct the customers within the store. Then, if we talk about visual merchandising, because we're talking about store interiors, so visual merchandising is of utmost importance over here. It refers to anything that can be seen by the customer inside and outside of a store, including the displays, the decorations, the signs, and layouts of space. The overall purpose of visual merchandising is to get customers to come into the store and spend money. So window display of the storefront act as initial contact points through which interaction between retailer and customers can take place. Then we talk about the various colors. Various colors are used by store designers so that the people get attracted towards the colors. It feels because retailing is what it is actually when you're shopping without being uh, relax in a relaxing mode and you should be tension free. So that is the main aim of retailing nowadays. So it talks about the various hues also, that is the various types of colors. They can be using some warm colors, they can use some cool colors like violet, green and blue are cool colors, and then you have yellow, red, and green, dark green. These are all warm colors. So the store designer uses various types of colors to create an environment or ambience inside the store. Then the darkness and lightness of the hue is known as the values. The dark values are referred to as shades. Then the dullness of brightness of the hue or the colors is known as intensity. Then, as you all go to the stores, you see it is very nicely lighted because nobody wants a gloomy and dark place. So, the store retail store has to think a lot about lighting also. So, the store planners and designers, they use the lighting solutions to highlight or downplay the specific areas of the store to draw customers and create an environment that works in sync with the retail brand and the merchandise offered. Lighting specialists provide expertise in the appropriate types of lighting for specific store layouts based on natural light exposure and can recommend solutions that suit budgets and environmental friendly conscious business models. You can see an advertisement, you can see a very good video based on this lighting and smell because within the retail store a lot of sound effect has is kept, a lot of smelling or you can say fragrance effect is kept so that it becomes soothing for the customers while they're shopping. They're able to relax also and they can keep their minds very free also. The various factors that are actually affecting the store are the flow of materials, the distance travel, the operator's convenience, the space that is available to them, the environment conditions. So these are the various factors which affect the store design. If you talk about the retail store layout, so the layout you actually know that how it has been, how the things has been arranged inside the store. So that is the layout. So create an environment that strategically actually emphasizes the desired purchasing behavior. It is essential to use all of the floor space you have allotted for merchandise. Base the layout on the principles of customer behavior so that you can have better purchase and better profits. So we start with the first one, that is the forced path store layout. So this layout is famously popularized by IKEA. So in a nutshell, this layout forces the customers through a predetermined path through the retail area or showroom. This tempts customers to make impulse purchase by delaying indulgence through forcing them through the showroom. The advantages of a forced path layout, every aisle in the store is maximized. With customers exposed to all of the merchandise offered, this design might entice the customers to make an unplanned purchase. So that is why they're using a forced path store layout. However, it can be pointed out that using the store layout risks irritating shoppers that have a specific task and desired location and could also overwhelm the shoppers by hurrying them through an experience of customers all moving in one direction together quickly. Now you can see the diagram of a grid store layout. This design is a familiar repetitive pattern favored by retail drugstores and hardware stores. The main advantages of this type of a layout is that the customers can move quickly through an efficient floor space using standard fixtures and displays. The presentation is uniform and comfortable due to its popularity, creating a seamless customer experience. The design simplifies inventory control for the retailer, a key to retail strategy that leverages store design to maximize the profitability. However, the downside of this layout is that the lack of aesthetics and the sterile and unsparing environment, which is often associated with a grid store layout. Then you have the loop store layout, which is also known as the racetrack layout. The designers accomplish the loop effect by making the floor path a standout color, lighting the loop to guide the customer using a different floor material to mark the loop. A loop design is encouraging that reward the customer with interesting visual displays and focal points on the ways to the checkout area. Then you have a straight store layout. The straight store layout is very efficient and simple to plan and capable of creating individual spaces for the customers. Plus, a basic straight design help pull customer towards featured merchandise in the back of the store. The merchandise displays and signage is used to keep the customers moving and interested. Mostly the liquor stores, the convenience store, the small markets use the straight design effectively. However, the drawback is the simplicity. Depending on how a customer enters the store and moves past the transition zone, it may be more difficult to highlight merchandise or draw them to a specific location. Then you have the diagonal store layout. Just as the name implies, the diagonal store layout uses aisles placed at angles to increase the customer sightliness and expose the new merchandise as the customers will be navigating through that space. A variation of the grid layout, it is actually a variation of the grid layout. So the design helps to guide the customers to the checkout area. The small stores can benefit from the space management option. and it is excellent for self-service retailers because it invites more movement and better customer circulation. When the checkout is located in the center and possibly raised up, the diagonal layout offers better security and loss prevention. When the checkout is located in the center and possibly it is raised up, the diagonal layout offers better security and loss prevention due to the extra sightline effect. The downside of this layout is that it doesn't enable the customer to shortcut towards specific merchandise, and the risk of narrow aisles is higher. You can see over here in this diagram an angular store layout is there. So as the name of the design suggests, as the angular store layout relies on a curved walls and corners, rounded merchandise displays and other curved fixtures to manage the customer flow. Luxury stores mostly use this layout effectively because the customers notice freestanding product displays. There is a perception of higher quality merchandise that the angle layout leverages to target the appropriate customer behavior in that environment. And although this design sacrifices efficient space use because of the rounded displays and limited shelf space, if a retailer has sufficient inventory storage away from the sales floor, this layout is useful in creating a unique perception. Then you have the free flow layout where the fixtures and the merchandise are grouped into free flowing patterns on the sales floor. The main advantages of a free flow layout is that it allows for browsing and wandering freely. It increases the impulse purchase, it increases the visual appeal and the flexibility. The main disadvantage is that in this the loitering is much more increased. Possible of confusion is also there. There is a lot of waste of floor space. The cost is high, difficulty of cleaning it. As the free flow layout is actually it does not have any specific design rules, so the customers have more liberty to interact with merchandise and navigate on their own. For this reason, the free flow layout is sophisticated in its simplicity. The customers feel less rushed in this creative environment. Merchandise may seem more intriguing. The only limitation for retailers using this layout is the overall space available, but that doesn't mean that the research on customer navigation behavior and tendencies shouldn't be accounted for as well. The main disadvantage of to this experimental design layout is the risk of confusing customers past the point of the preferred behavior and disrupting the customer flow. Then we talk about the boutique store layout. The boutique store layout is also called the shop in the shop or alcove layout. It is the most widely used type of free flow layout. So merchandise is separated by category and the customers are encouraged to interact more intimately with like items in semi-separate areas created by walls, merchandise displays and fixtures. Typically used by boutique clothing retailers, wine merchants, and gourmet markets. This layout stimulates customers' curiosity in different brands or themes of merchandise within the world category. The downside of the boutique layout include the following factors: reducing the total display space for merchandise with the inefficient space management, encouraging too much exploration of separate areas within the store, confusing customers past the point of purchase behavior. Ultimately, the exploration can distract from customer interaction with the merchandise. The next we have is the spine layout. The spine layout is actually, you can see the diagram over here. A single main aisle actually runs from the front to the back of the store, the transporting customers in both the directions. And where on either side of the spine, the merchandise departments using either a free flow or a grid pattern branch off towards the backside walls. So this is the diagram for a spine layout. You can see over here that a particular single line or single main aisle is running across the store and on both sides either a grid pattern has been used or a free flow pattern has been used over here. If we talk about the advantages of a spine layout, there is reduction of aisle space required, lower output times, less product damage can be done, and lower obsolescence is there. There is reduction in storage space. It is more simplified material control and scheduling can be done. There is less congestion in the system. If we talk about the disadvantages, there are fewer sales opportunities. It has increased channels, the rise of C stores, the shoppers are more diverse and they are more complex. So, in this particular section, students, we have discussed about the various types of layouts and what are the various strategies that you have to take as a retail store designer. In the next class, we'll be talking about the various responsibilities that a store designer has the you can say the store manager has to take while he's working over there in the store as a manager. So as we're talking about the various types of retailers, so you can see over here that how the retail evolved over a period of time, how it started with the mom and pop stores and eventually with the period of time, or you can say with the passage of time, how the formats keep on evolving and changing. So that is what we actually covered in Wheel of Retailing. So and in this particular segment, we talked about the various types of layouts that are used by the retailers so that they can attract the customers and they can increase or you can say improve their sales. So, for today, this is all from my side, students. So, let us sign off. In the next class, we'll be talking in more detail about the various strategies that a store retailer has to use while he's operating his stores. Thank you, students.